and Happy New Year. This is Neetal, the host of the Innov8social podcast. So, today we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to actually just talk and share some things that are on my mind and some ideas for the new year with the podcast and all of the things that are happening with Innov8social. So, I was kind of thinking of a theme for this podcast, for this episode. And I was thinking about this idea yesterday, actually. A moment when anything is possible. It's such a powerful thought. And I had some correspondence yesterday, and this opportunity was coming up to do something that I've been very excited to do. And I called my sister and I said, let's actually go and grab coffee or do something fun. And I was trying to think, why did I want to do that? Because there was nothing materializing yet. But it was this moment when anything was possible. And it kind of reminded me of any moment, especially when we're young or we see younger kids and the world is open to them in every single way. And that's kind of how I wanted to start the year. It was a beautiful kind of moment, and I thought that's a nice thing to share. And it also kind of gave me a chance to pause and reflect. So much happened in 2015, and it's been such an exciting year for Innov8social, and everything. Some of my greatest hopes and dreams actually have been kind of tied up in some of the things that happened within the last year. One of those, which has been a thought process of mine for multiple years, was writing a book. And as you might know, the book titled 51 Questions on Social Entrepreneurship, published mid-December, on December 18th, I believe, of 2015. And there was so much excitement around that, and there were so many steps that took to get there. And of course, as any entrepreneur or anyone endeavoring in some new project, hindsight is always so informative. So I think if I had known about the amount of work and about every tiny detail that goes into independently publishing a book, I would have had a different perspective on the time that it might take and what might be required. But it was something amazing to do, and then the next thing to think about the book was getting closer, and I was working with amazing teams, including designers. My typesetter Sue was amazing, multiple editors, and even crowdsourcing feedback from friends and family, which was so valuable, and it made the whole process so meaningful. But then it was thinking about launch, and the book launch. Being a first-time author and being independently published, I knew that launch would have to be I would want to pull out all the stops that I could with the launch. So I planned a 10-day countdown for the launch, and each day I created some kind of new media or new thing to share, whether it was a video or an image or a meme, and to kind of make it fun. So less text heavy, but more kind of engaging. The funny thing is, some of those memes or images or shares actually took way longer than I expected, and that maybe just having written something would have. But it was a chance to be really creative and have a lot of fun with it. So I think it also, every day I would wake up and think, what is going to be like? What is it the next important part of this to share? So I kind of did the 10-day launch, and I'll include some links below. But I did the 10-day launch almost as a story that you could read the headlines of each of those 10 countdown days and kind of put together a story. So then it was time to launch, and there's so many little things that happen there was definitely some changes that happened late, and I was hoping that we would get the books in time, the books would be approved in time, for the launch, and we did a small launch event. And the amazing thing is, even since it's been about a month or 3 weeks since the launch, we found a few more updates. So have resubmitted, have worked with my typesetter, and we've resubmitted the manuscript and have it approved and everything. So there's so many different steps that are involved, and then after all of that, I think it was almost without even me knowing, I needed some time to just kind of decompress. There's been so much go, and focus on creation, editing, and putting it out there that the holidays were like this perfect time to kind of unplug and rest and kind of recharge and almost just listen to what new thoughts come up. And it's in that thinking that I kind of also really began to think about the podcast. And it's one of my greatest joys to do the podcast. But I think there's room for improvement or room for growth even within the podcast. It's had a version of this format for a while, so I'm just being super open with my listeners and audience. I'm trying to figure out that like ways to engage and with these amazing stories from the people that I find inspiring, and I hope that you all find inspiring too, and make it interesting to listen to and fun, and to make it a fun experience. So that's something that I'm kind of thinking about. And in this space, it's almost like being back in that moment where anything is possible. And it's almost a space that I think we have to try to put ourselves into at times, because we can sometimes get into modes where X, Y, and Z have to get done by a certain time, or this is possible and this is not possible. And we kind of get into these places where it's like everything's binary. Things can or can't happen, or we're not sure, or maybe we question ourselves. But every once in a while, hopefully, we each have our moment when the world is limitless again, is complete. Our potential is completely up to us, and the greatest things can happen. So it's with that thought that I start this little section of the podcast called Neetal Notes. And I hope once in a while to come and just share some of the experiences that I'm going through as a social entrepreneur and in my journey. And if it can be helpful, I would be so happy, for you guys to share or even share your own stories. And so, yeah, so I look forward to more chats like this. I look forward to more amazing conversations with incredible social impact change makers. And I look for more ways to engage with all of you. So feel free to write comments or connect via social media. And look forward to an amazing new year for all of us.